Of Christmases Long, Long Ago is my new book arriving for the 2025 Christmas season. Find out what Christmas was like centuries ago. Sneak preview, it was weird and spooky and rowdy, kind of gross sometimes. Find it wherever books are sold in hardcover from Lions Press and audiobook from Recorded Books. It's Christmas as you've never seen it before, and it makes a great gift. Hey, it's Brian, and before we get into things today, I wanted to let you know that this episode of Christmas Past kind of marks the end of an era. Since 2016, and over the course of more than 100 episodes now, you've heard me close things out each time by letting you know that Christmas Past is produced in sunny San Mateo, California. Well, this is the last episode where that is true. Even with everything else going on in the world right now, I've bought a new home and I'm moving there soon. So the next time you hear from me, I'll be signing off from somewhere else. Now, I'm not going far, and if you want to find out exactly where it is, well, then just check out the next episode and all of the ones after that. But all that aside, I hope that the month of May is treating you well, even with all of our travel restrictions and stay-at-home orders. I hope that you're able to get outside and enjoy nature as long as you're following all of the common sense guidelines and treating the situation with the seriousness it deserves. A lot of quarantine fatigue is setting in, but now more than ever, it's important that we all stick together and do what's right for everyone. A lot of you have reached out to let me know how much you love it when we do these 2 truths and a lie games, and I don't need much arm twisting to do one of these because it's always a great opportunity to hang out with my fellow Christmas lovers and have some fun. This time I'm joined by Todd from Christmas Clatter, Carrie from Christmas Book Review, and Chris from Yuletide TV. Join us as we put each other's Christmas spirit and lie detecting skills to the test. I'll come back at the end to say goodbye, but for now, please enjoy another game of 2 truths and a lie on Christmas Past. All right, Todd, you are first.
All right, the first category I have is Christmas travel. In traveling for Christmas, Berlin, Germany is the #1 destination for those seeking the most Christmas experience. For those trying to avoid Christmas during the holidays, Morocco is the city of choice. But for those trying to get all the Christmas feels, Leavenworth, Washington is consistently voted by traveling critics as the best Christmas town in the United States.
Okay. Let's see. So Leavenworth, Washington. Okay, so I do have a little bit of knowledge to help me guide in my decision making. And see, this is the eternal struggle of this game is you don't want to give too much away, and you also might want to try to throw your opponents off. But I do happen to know that Leavenworth, Washington is a very popular Christmas, almost like a Hallmark kind of town that's in the, has like in the back of a mountain somewhere. But is it the most? I don't know. Morocco. Interesting, because, Christmas is celebrated in many, many parts of Africa, and I could imagine Christmas in Morocco being awesome, but is that just something Todd made up?
Ooh, is that an Office cue, maybe? Moroccan Christmas from The Office? Is that where he's coming from?
Oh, I don't know. But Morocco makes me think of people gambling and not having children with them, which I would think would be good for people who are not that interested in Christmas.
Okay, what was the first one, Todd?
Traveling for Christmas to get the most Christmas experience, Berlin, Germany is the most popular destination.
Okay, well that, all of those, the only one that just sounds like it could be false is Morocco. But it doesn't really sound like it could be false because it could totally be true. It's just not something that rings true to me. I've never heard anything specific about it. So for that reason, I'm voting that Morocco is the false one. What do you think, Carrie?
I don't know. I've never heard of Leavenworth, Washington. Leavenworth sounds like Leavenworth, Kansas, and I think of jail instead of Christmas. So I could totally see Germany because, Christmas ornaments were started in Germany. I guess I'm going to go with Leavenworth being the wrong one, the lie.
Okay. All right, Chris, what do you say?
I think I'm going to go Germany just to get all our chips on the board. And I don't know, for some reason, that one just for a gut reaction, that one struck me as wrong for some reason. I don't have any real reasoning behind it, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay, so just to recap, we've really covered the spread here, right? Each of us thinks one of them is the false one. And now, Todd, the big reveal?
The big reveal, well, Chris is the one that got it correct. Germany is not the number one destination for people seeking a Christmas experience. It's actually London, England.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
But was I correct, Todd, about Leavenworth, Washington being
Yes.
a really... Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I think I actually shared something about that in the Facebook group recently. And by the way, shameless plug, if you haven't joined the Christmas Past private Facebook group, now is as good a day as any to do that. But yeah, I think I did put something about that. I read it maybe in TripAdvisor, Atlas Obscura, like one of those kind of things.
Right.
All right, well, so let's see. We are 1/3 of the way through round one, and so far Chris is the only one with a point on the board, which means that it is our turn, Carrie and Brian's, to redeem ourselves as Carrie, or I'm sorry, Carrie, you can't because it's your turn to ask us a question.
It's my turn to fool you. Okay, so my first question is about Little Women, since Little Women is a traditional Christmas story. I figured that would be a good subject. So just last year, this is the first statement, just last year there were reimaginings of Little Women involving one of the March sisters being gay, Marmee and Mr. March getting a divorce, and the March sisters growing up on a goat farm. And the second one is 35-year-old Louisa May Alcott was so uninterested in writing a book for girls that her first draft of Little Women was called The Pathetic Family. And the third one is, there is a children's board book of Little Women illustrated by Edward Gorey. It is part of a series called Baby Lit Primers that includes Frankenstein, Pride and Prejudice, and Alice in Wonderland.
Now, so with these questions, there's something that happens often where one of them sounds just too specific not to be true. And in this case, the one about calling it the pathetic family, like it's one of those things. So for future games, everybody, if you really want to throw everyone off, make something sound super, super specific because it usually that's how you trip me up anyway. But something about that sounds like it could be true enough only because at that time, writing books for girls, I would just imagine like the state of the world back then. It's probably true that like girls weren't seen as being supposed to read or things like that. And there was another story I read recently that it used language that's very similar to what you're describing. Not like the pathetic family, but it was something like that. That's like how you would describe like a family that was poor, like in those kinds of words. That was a lot way before the time of like political correctness or just basic tact, I suppose. So, okay, now the first one about with the the reimaginings of like the characters' lives and like having someone be gay or that could be true. I mean, I would just be guessing at that point. So I don't know, Todd and Chris, what are you guys thinking?
I don't know. My knowledge of Little Women is very lacking. So mine would be a complete guess. I know there was a movie made last year that was fairly popular and fairly well received, but I hadn't seen it to be able to tell if there was the reimagining and as far as what the title used to be or if it was or anything like that. Mine would be just a stab in the dark. I would probably guess the calling it the pathetic family would be my guess, just because I don't know, just seems like it didn't fit in my opinion.
And the thing with the Edward Gorey, if that doesn't exist, I really wish it did. That would be fantastic.
Well, and see, that was what I thought with your note on specificity. That third one with those children's books was really where I thought the specific details lied.
Okay, so I think we all know which way we're leaning, and the time has now come to lock in which one we're saying is the false one. Remember, I think the false one is the first one. Todd, what do you think?
I'm going with the pathetic family being false.
Okay, that's the second one. Okay, Chris, what do you think?
I'm also going to go with the first one. The goat farm pushes it over the edge for me.
Okay. Carrie, great reveal.
I fooled you all.
Oh my goodness.
It was the third one. I also wish that was true, that there was a board book with Edward Gorey illustrating Little Women, but alas, it is not true. I don't think board books were even a thing when Edward Gorey was alive. So.
Oh, probably. They could have made it into one after the fact.
Yeah,
but that would have been really cool.
That's true. But yeah, it really is true that Louisa May Alcott named her first draft the Pathetic Family. She wrote in her journal at the time, "Never liked girls or knew many except my sisters."
Huh.
All right. So, Carrie, you've done what few have done before you, which is to fool. I think only one person's ever done that before. So, and it is the only way that you can earn a point when it is your turn to ask a question. So, well done there.
Right.
All right, Chris, destroy us.
Okay, we're going to do Christmas TV for my round here. And so here we go. In a second season episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Sabrina accidentally injures Santa Claus, played by Cheers veteran John Ratzenberg, and it is up to her to save Christmas. In an episode of SNL from December 1998, then cast member Jimmy Fallon joined host Alec Baldwin as the ghost of Christmas Future, and predicted he, Jimmy Fallon, would be the host of the 2011 Christmas episode of SNL, a prediction which came true. And you may know that the series finale of MASH is one of the most watched television episodes of all time, but the second most watched episode of the series was a Christmas episode called Death Takes a Holiday, with 32.4 million viewers.
Now, again, there's one of those that I do have a little bit of special knowledge on, which has to do with MASH, because MASH was one of my dad's favorite shows growing up, and we weren't allowed to talk when MASH was on. And I do remember a MASH Christmas special. Now, does that mean it was the most popular one? I don't know.
Yeah.
And let me see. The one about Saturday Night Live, I don't recall. I mean, I'm sure that Jimmy Fallon was in a sketch with Alec Baldwin, and I'm sure he couldn't keep from laughing the whole time, because that dude was useless in every sketch he was in, just completely useless. Could not keep a straight face. But that also sounds like it could be true. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I've never seen that. My closest relationship to Sabrina the Teenage Witch is that I said hi to Melissa Joan Hart when I was at the Christmas Con in November last year.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm just going to throw a dart to make my guess. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I remember MASH growing up, but to say I know a whole lot about it would be incorrect. But I don't know anything about Sabrina Teenage Witch. That one hit me as false when I first heard it, and then I heard the other ones. It's like they're all plausible. My guess
future
would
games.
Be,
this is another good strategy for future games, is to make them all just seem like.
You're right.
Yeah, like they could be right.
Completely plausible. All completely plausible.
Right. But nothing glaring about any of them. They're all on an even keel.
Right.
Yeah, I am a Sabrina fan, and I think I've watched the second season, and I don't remember that episode, but again, I'm not 100% positive. And the same on MASH. I also watched it with my parents, and I remember there being Christmas episodes, but I sure don't remember the name of the episode.
Right.
Okay, here is, just because it's time to vote, I'm going to say that it's the Jimmy Fallon one, only because it does seem weird that someone in a sketch would predict that they would come back to host the show for Christmas. I don't know. I've never seen that happen on Saturday Night Live in any other context. So for that reason alone, I'm going to guess that is the incorrect one.
I'm gonna go with Sabrina, just because it was just my gut reaction and no other logical explanation other than that.
All right. Carrie, what do you say?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying about the Jimmy Fallon sketch, but on the other hand, how many times has Alec Baldwin hosted SNL? A lot.
A lot.
So statistically, I'm going to think that one could be true. So I'm going to go for Sabrina being the lie.
All right.
Well, Brian, you have now had 2 in the same episode. I have blanked you all. It is actually the MASH.
Goodness.
The MASH
It was
is
MASH.
Man.
Wow. There is an episode of MASH that takes place at Christmas called Death Takes a Holiday, but I have no idea how many people watched it or where it would fall if you were ranking the episode series.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I think we would classify that as like a borderline trick question because there was enough truth in it, but it was like the fine detail. But well played because you earned a point for fooling us all. Okay, and my goodness, if we get 3 fool 'em alls in this one, that'll be a hat trick, and then I don't know what happens then. But we're already in uncharted territory with 2 fool 'em alls in one episode, and let's see if we can make it 3 with my question for you guys about the Yule log. So the Yule log, of course, is one of those Christmas traditions that predates Christmas itself. That's why we call it the Yule log and not the Christmas log. And as you can imagine, it's a tradition that comes with all kinds of superstitions attached to it. And so here's your first statement. According to one superstition, if the Yule log did not catch fire on the first attempt to light it, it would bring bad luck to the whole house. Statement number 2. It was once common to mix a small amount of the ashes of a burned Yule log into the batter of the Christmas cake for extra protection against evil spirits. And statement 3, in some cultures, the Yule log was decorated with ribbons or foliage and sprinkled with wine before being lit.
Wow, those all sound totally plausible.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Can we vote plausible? Oh, yeah, that's not Mythbusters.
Carrie wants to play on a pass-fail basis.
Right.
I feel like the first one is such a... It just rings so much as a superstition. And the second one, I don't know why, but I feel like I've heard something about that before. For me, I'm leaning towards the third one a little bit.
Okay. Right. That's the one that stood out to me. It seems like I've heard the mixing with the ashes and the cake and things like that before, but I'll go with the third one. It just seems like decorating it and then pouring wine over it just to set it on fire seems a little bit wasteful.
And I'm going to go with the second one because that is just disgusting. And I think the other 2, I mean, all 3 of them sound plausible, but at least the other 2 don't ruin your food.
Okay, are we locked in our votes?
Yes.
Yes.
And the answer was, it was number 2, so Carrie gets a point.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well done.
Yes, Carrie.
And so the thing is, going to get a Yule log back in the day, it was this big ceremony. The whole family would go out. They'd chop down the tree. It was common to decorate it with either ribbons or some kind of foliage. They'd often put a rope on it and tug it home, and kids would ride on it. It was like this big ceremony, right? And then they would take it in, and you would have to light it. And so when I heard that it was true that if it didn't catch fire on the first attempt, it would bring bad luck. It's like, how are you lighting this log? Like, it hasn't dried out in any way. Like, I don't know how they were doing it. And there's all kinds of other cool Yule log trivia. Like, before they didn't cut it down, hearths back in those days were enormous. Nevertheless, the Yule log, they'd just bring in basically the entire trunk of the tree and stick one end of it into the hearth, and the rest of it would just be like in the living room. And that was how all that worked. Now, the thing about putting some of the ashes into the batter, I think there's precedent for that elsewhere. I've heard if you scrape some sand from like one of the bricks of the pyramids and put it in a loaf of bread, it's supposed to help with like fertility, or like by superstition, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, like it does exist elsewhere, but not in the case of the Yule log and putting it into the Christmas cake. So this concludes round 1, guys, and Todd and Brian, that's me, don't yet have any points. Chris has 2 points, one for guessing one correct question and the other for stumping us. And likewise with Carrie. She was correct once and stumped us once.
Man.
And so now we are moving into round 2. So the total is, 2 points for Carrie, 2 for Chris. Todd and I need to get ourselves on the board. So Todd, you're up.
Alrighty. This has to do with actors playing the same role. These two TV dads, Michael Gross of Family Ties and John Goodman from Roseanne, both played live-action Santa Claus. Frank Sinatra brought Roderick Thorpe's literary character of John McClane to life on the big screen in 1968. And 20 years later, Bruce Willis was recast as McClane. Side note, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. In both Field of Dreams co-stars, Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones used their talents to voice Ebenezer Scrooge.
Kevin Costner as Scrooge that would not get me excited even a little bit, but James Earl Jones, yeah.
I know James Earl Jones has done some Santa voice work, but Scrooge I'm not familiar with.
You know, I wonder if he would make a good Scrooge. Like, he has a good voice, but is it a Scroogey voice?
Well, but, I mean, Darth Vader, surely he could do Scrooge.
But would he, because Darth Vader, it does actually have sort of like an ambiguously British accent a little bit. But James Earl Jones doing a British accent, something about that just isn't sitting right. I don't know. I'm leaning toward that one being the false one. And I'm just going to lock that one in. That's my vote.
I don't remember Frank Sinatra playing any John McClane character. Maybe it was completely different story, but yeah.
Yeah, and I feel pretty up on my Die Hard trivia, so I'm also going to go with number 2 there as being the lie.
Okay, time for the reveal.
Well, the lie is both Field of Dreams co-stars Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones have voiced Ebenezer Scrooge. Kevin McCostner's never voiced Ebenezer Scrooge. James Earl Jones did in a production called Bah Humbug.
I see.
So,
okay, so tell us about Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra played McClane in the 1968 movie The Detective.
The Detective.
And then Die Hard was based on the book Things Don't Last Forever, I think was the title of it.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Nothing lasts forever.
Movie.
Nothing lasts forever. Mm-hmm.
So again, this was another like borderline trick question because you lumped it in with someone else. All right, you guys are getting sneaky on me. We're getting sneakier and sneakier every time we play this game. But anyway, I still got it right, so I'm happy that I get a point. All right, Carrie, you are up.
Okay. So this category is animals in kids' picture books about Christmas.
Okay.
So the first statement is Jim Flora, a commercial artist famous for his album covers for Columbia and RCA Records, also wrote and illustrated a children's picture book called Kangaroo for Christmas about a kangaroo named Adelaide, who is Catherine's Christmas present sent from her Uncle Dingo. And the second one is Lyle at Christmas, is about a city-dwelling crocodile named Lyle who lives in a bathtub in a house with the Prim family. Lyle's best friend and cat, Loretta, runs away because she is tired of her owner, Mr. Grump, having the holiday blahs. And the third one? In the Bernstein Bears and the Runaway Christmas yarn, Mama drops her yarn ball and it rolls out the front door. Brother and sister chase it, but it keeps rolling. Along the way, they meet one of Santa's reindeer who's gotten lost.
Well, what I like about this question is that two of those exist, and like because they all sound like they could actually be children's Christmas stories. And so what that means is that Carrie has invented at least one viable idea for a children's Christmas story. The Berenstain Bears, that's one of those things that's just, it's in pop culture. I'm sure that I've read at least one book or seen one special, but I don't remember anything about any Berenstain Bears stuff at all. Like, I just, they're recognizable, but not memorable for me anyhow. And that concept that you described sounds kind of lame. So I kind of hope that one's the fake one, that a ball of yarn just runs away. The alligator that lives in a bathtub or crocodile litter, that sounds pretty awesome. So I hope that's true.
Yeah, the Bernstein Bears one was rubbing me a certain way too. I used to be big into the Bernstein Bears. That was what my parents read to me as a kid, but that was 25 years ago. So what kind of Christmas adventures they've gone on since then is the only hesitation I have there.
The kangaroo one sounds familiar. It seems like I've heard that before. Maybe on Christmas book review. I can't remember now. But I think I'll just go with the one with the alligator just to pick something different than the other ones.
All right. So I think we've all locked in our votes. I think it's the Berenstain Bears one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, you are correct.
Oh.
Yay!
And I was trying not to laugh when you said it's pretty lame because my son helped me come up with the idea. So now I'm going to have to tell him that was lame.
Oh, yeah. No, I realized. I just said that Carrie came up with a viable Christmas, and then I said that was the bad one. Okay, so I'm sorry that I called your idea lame.
That's okay.
Okay.
But I figured I couldn't make that one too hard because there are thousands of Bernstein Bears books now. So,
Sure.
I mean, and they have like at least a dozen different Christmas ones.
Right.
And they're pretty good. They're not lame. So, yeah, I agreed. It's kind of lame.
So 1 point for Chris and Mia for that question.
Yes. And Lyle is part of a series of Christmas, or actually just books about Lyle the crocodile, who's a city-dwelling crocodile, lives in the bathtub. Pretty
That
cool.
sounds pretty awesome. I'm going to check that out. All right, Chris, it is your turn.
All right. For my second category, I'm doing Lego because that was my favorite gift to receive as a kid on Christmas. And my first statement is, in April 2014, 4 people in Arizona were arrested for stealing $40,000 worth of Lego from multiple stores in the area. In 1998, Lego planned to sell a set named the Polar Express, featuring a train and Santa Claus, but were threatened with a lawsuit from author Chris Van Allsburg, which prevented the set from being put into production. The creator of Lego was a man named Kirk Christensen, who was originally a carpenter before he lost his business and began making children's toys.
Okay. I know one of those is true for sure.
You know what else I know about Lego, just to go off on a tangent? Because it's a Swedish company, right? Swedish or? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there is a building, it's like literally it's like an underground bunker that has one copy of every Lego product ever made. It's like this strategic Lego reserve that's actually guarded.
In case of apocalypse.
I guess so, yeah. Okay, but back to Chris's question. Goodness. So the thing about the branded, because they put out so many branded products, and it really depends on how the Polar Express was published, because usually the writer doesn't like own the copyright. It's like the publisher does. Mm-hmm. So the lawsuit would come from them. So that was the only red flag I heard. That made me say, I wonder if there's something there.
Well, $40,000 worth of Legos, that's quite a bit of Legos.
I don't know if you bought Legos lately.
I know some of them are pretty expensive, but still, even at $500 a set, that's still.
But over time, right? They could have been on a spree, a little bit here, a little bit there. But you're right. True. That is an awful lot of Lego. Okay, and I hope this isn't another trick question where it's like, oh no, it was more like $5,000, but the couples did steal all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to guess, but I'm thinking it's that Polar Express one, just for the reasons I already said. But I totally hear what you're saying, Todd. About that does seem like an awful lot of Lego to steal. That would have to be like just a crime caper to make something like that happen. Okay, so what is everyone's final vote?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna go for the Polar Express one, just because that's such a recognizable artist, Chris Van Allsburg. At least I mean, I think he is. He's got dozens of children's books out, and I would be surprised if they tried to make a Lego set of it. I don't know. It just doesn't. It seems too distinctive to make a Lego out of. You know what I mean? Like it would have to change too much.
All right. And so, Todd, are you still sticking with the Crying Spring?
Actually, I am actually going to go for the Polar Express one just as a strategic move since I have 0 points.
Yeah,
and, that way either we all get a point or we all get 0 points.
Yeah, see, there's a lot more strategy in this game than you might imagine, right? Because depending on when you speak up, right, you can leverage other people's reasoning and sort of get a sense of where they're coming from. And that's why it's always like, if you happen to know something is true, there's a pluses and minuses of actually admitting that you know that one of them can be eliminated. It's almost like that Monty Hall dilemma where it doesn't seem like it makes sense that after you've been given some information, your chances do increase if you change your mind, but it actually is true. Okay, anyway, so I think we're all saying that it's the Polar Express, Chris. So what is the correct answer?
Okay, well, that one is 100% made up. You are all correct. That is the lie.
Oh. So Todd gets one, Carrie gets one, and Brian gets one.
I'm swinging in both extremes. I got to find the happy medium, hopefully, on this last round.
All right, guys, we're gonna close out round 2 with this question from me about Christmas costumes. And by costumes, I mean, back in the day, wearing costumes at Christmas was actually like a big part of the celebration. Christmas itself used to look a lot more like Halloween than it does our current iteration. In fact, caroling was often done in costume, and it looked a lot more like trick-or-treating than anything else, because after you sang a carol, you were expected to receive a gift. Either they would bring you into the house and share some wine with you or give you some kind of gift. And even that trick-or-treat thing, some kids would go caroling. And if you didn't give them a treat, they would, like maybe throw an egg at your house or do like something along those that equivalent. So costumes were really like, there's a lot of history of costumes in Christmas. And so here are 3 statements, only one of which is false. So the first one is, at the French court in 1393, several partygoers wearing flammable costumes caught fire when they came too close to flaming torches. Statement number 2, in the Shetland Islands, the skecklers, as they're known, were young men in straw costumes that went out and about on the 12 nights of Christmas. And statement number 3, modern Christmas elves are said to have been inspired by the colorful costumes worn in 17th century Scotland during Christmas celebrations, made from used grain sacks and decorated with cowbells.
One of those I'm 87% sure I know is correct. So,
The elves
or
one
is that just what you want them to think, Todd?
The elves one is interesting. There's a lot of detail there. I'm wondering, but could be a red herring.
The Shetland Islands thing sounds totally true.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards the elves because there's some detail there, but it's not the detail of the date.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lock in on 3 as well with the elves. There's almost too much detail there for me, I think.
I think I'm going to go with the first one, the flammable one.
The flammable one. Well, you shouldn't have done that, Carrie, because it actually was the elves, and so that means Todd and Chris get a point. Yeah, so these revelers, and this was the court of King Charles, who also just barely escaped this fire with his life, and then afterward, from then on, they banned wearing costumes to parties. But, back in those days, things were lit by firelight, of course. And so some revelers decided, why don't we show up as forest savages? That was their costume. And so they had these... They coated themselves in tar and put like feathers and just like leaves and all that. They're supposed to look like these sort of like forest creatures. And, you can imagine you stand a little too close to a flame and then that's that.
Ouch.
Yeah, and there's the thing of Christmas costumes is actually really it's still done. I think in parts of England there's like the mummers tradition where it's like put on a play where everything is in costume. So it's still around, but a lot of our American Christmas is heavily influenced by the Victorian British Christmas. But then there's just certain parts of it that never came over, or if they did, they didn't really get much play, right? Like Christmas crackers and plum pudding or things that you have to really really be into that kind of stuff to make it part of your normal normal Christmas. And even fruitcake, for that matter. For some reason, it was super popular here for a while, and then it became almost like a joke. I did a whole episode about that in case anyone is interested. So, okay, this brings us to the end of round 2, and here are the total scores, right? For across all rounds, Todd has 2 points, Carrie has 3, Chris is in the lead with 4, and I have 3. So this is our last chance to win this. Let's see. And so that means, Todd, it's your chance or your turn to ask a question.
We'll be talking about best-selling Christmas albums. Elvis Presley's Elvis Christmas album is the best-selling Christmas album all time, with 20 million copies sold worldwide. Kenny G surprisingly sits at number 2 worldwide with Miracle, the Holiday album, with 7.3 million copies sold. Though Elton John is not on the top 10 of the worldwide list, his album Step Into Christmas is UK's number 1 seller with 3.2 million copies sold.
Okay. Now, this is another one where, like, I do happen to know that Kenny G has one of the best-selling Christmas albums of all time. Is it number 2, though, right? So that's where this is like, what level of specificity determines whether we get this question right or wrong. And let's see. I know Elvis probably also does have one. I mean, I think most people would hear that and say, oh, no, I thought it was Bing Crosby. But White Christmas was, I believe, released as a single. And he holds the distinction of the best-selling single of all time. Or at least he did for a while. So that's another one of those, like, Elton
this
John.
This is full albums, not singles. Mm-hmm.
So I could believe that. The Elton John one is the only one that sounds, and here's why it feels a little weird to me, is that, and I can't even think of like who else. I would imagine like Wham, like, but again, that was a single, like Last Christmas. Like one of those would have been like the best-selling one. And if it were the best-selling in England, is 3.2 million copies sold even a good amount? I'm just thinking out loud here. Because like in America, like something has to sell a lot just because there are so many more people here to sell records to make it an impressive number. But 3 million sold in England actually does sound pretty big.
Yeah, that sounds...
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, and then you have, I don't know, you have all the, like, did he outsell like any of the members of the Beatles that have Christmas albums or songs? And that's kind of where I'm getting hung up on the UK side of things.
Yes, Todd is proving himself as a master of deception in this game.
Yeah, I thought I knew that the first one was wrong because I was thinking Bing Crosby, but then you said that about the single.
Yeah, and the Kenny G one, and again, like, are we thinking of all time or... Oh, no, Elton John is the only England-specific one. Because I know the other one, like the top... I think we did something like this in a previous game where it's like Mannheim Steamroller actually has 2 of the top 10 spots for 2 of their different albums. And it's always those ones you're like, really? Mannheim Steam... Oh, okay. And then you remember that, like, oh, yeah, them and... what's that one? The Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I always get those confused.
But I never listened to any of those, but I was like, okay, like I get that they're super, super popular, even though they're like nowhere near my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think just because it's time to vote on something, I'm going to just, Elton John seemed like it could be false, so I'm just going to lock in on that.
I'm going to do one of these things that's not like the other, and I'm going to also go with Elton John.
Well, I'm going to guess Kenny G just because I really hope it's not true.
well, last time you did that, Carrie, it didn't turn out well for you. So we'll see how it goes this time.
The false one is Elton John.
Ooh, Carrie.
Elton John has never released a full Christmas album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You guys see Dolly Parton's putting one out this year?
Yes.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I think it's been recorded since 2016, but then they had some issues or something with it. So
I always like when they do all originals. Honestly, like I think like John Denver's Christmas album is just like one of the best, like of all time, like best Christmas albums. And there weren't any standards on that, were there?
Is that the one with the Muppets?
No, well that's all full of standards. That's a good one too.
Right.
No, the one that has like Aspen Glow and
Right.
I can't remember
I don't think there are any standards. Best I remember.
Yeah.
I don't have a track list in front of me.
Yeah, Aspen Glow is just a gorgeous song. And that dude, like no one had a voice like that guy. He was amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing,
Although
like Dolly Parton, I don't want to hear her singing like, or maybe singing Silent Night would be cool, but I don't want to hear her
Yeah.
sing like Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph. I kind of want to hear her
Right.
doing her thing with her,
Yeah.
her just like her Smoky Mountain kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like it when they split them about half and half.
Yeah.
That way they can pick the standards that really suit their style and their voice and things like that.
See, that's the key. If there's a song that just really, really goes with the aesthetic of that singer, then it makes sense. Like there was one, Boys to Men put out a Christmas album where most of it was pretty terrible, but they did this one version of Silent Night where it's like, just this gorgeous 4-part harmony. It's beautiful.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That's probably the one that I am looking forward to this year. Okay. So anyway, I guess that was that question. So Carrie, your turn.
Okay. My last question is all from a book called American Christmas Cards that I have not reviewed on my Christmas book review podcast yet, but I will soon. It's really interesting. I recommend it if you're into Christmas cards at all. So the first statement is candles were the most common Christmas card motif in the first half of the 20th century from 1900 to 1950. This correlates with the rise of electric light being installed in the American household. Once electricity was the norm, candles were thought of as old-fashioned and timeless. And the second statement is about poinsettias. Probably all of you know that poinsettias were named after our first American ambassador to Mexico, Joel Roberts Poinsett. And he was also an amateur botanist and sent home cuttings of the red-leaved plant growing in the wild. That's how it got to America. And so that part's true, definitely. But the part that may or may not be true is the family of a German immigrant farmer in California has been responsible for a large percentage of the commercial production of poinsettias since the 1920s. And in an ironic twist, most of the plants are now grown in Guatemala. So it's back in Central America where it started. And the third one, in Dickens' The Pickwick Papers, there are several descriptions of traveling coaches in winter that inspired Christmas card illustrations of families traveling by coach to meet for the holidays. One such set of early Christmas card designs with Dickensian Christmas coaches, that's a mouthful, was recently unearthed by Sotheby's and was auctioned by Sotheby's for $6.2 million.
Okay, now before we start talking this one out, so I hope this is another one where like that last one it was true, but I'm going to say it was false because it wasn't $6.2 million. It was like $1.1 million or something like that. So I'm assuming that none of that is true. Now, I do happen to know one of them is definitely true. And so I'm wondering whether or not there's any advantage in tipping my hand or pretending to tip my hand to throw you guys off. But I do happen to know that Paul Eck is a German-born botanist who now he and his family are responsible for producing poinsettias. Their family, for 3 generations, has owned one of the largest poinsettia grow operations in the world, and it was based here in America. So I'm very confident that one is totally true. And so I'm just helping you guys out now. So now it's down to 50-50, right? Okay, so that leaves then the Pickwick Papers. And so, again, the question we're assessing is whether or not a card inspired by Dickens recently sold for $6 million, and that the other one was that candles were previously the most common. So now the thing is, I'm assuming that we're talking about America here. Because
yeah, this is just American Christmas card.
Because in England, this is another really interesting thing about Christmas cards. The first commercially available Christmas cards almost never depicted Christmas. It wasn't until much later that you'd see snow or Santa Claus or wreaths or anything like that. It was always like flowers or young ladies in spring dresses walking down the street, or some of these bizarre things like, inanimate objects coming to life, like the dish running away with a spoon,
the
that kind
vegetables.
of thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What's his name on Weird Christmas has a whole bunch of those on his Instagram. Those are great.
Yeah, Craig Kringle. Shout out to Craig Kringle.
Yeah.
If you're not following his Instagram or Twitter or Tumblr, I'll put a link in the show notes to that because he curates a really nice collection of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
But all of those are British. We're not talking about American Christmas cards. That sounds like it could be true enough. So it really is a coin toss. I don't know.
I'm leaning towards the candles being the false one just because it lacked a little bit of the detail that the other twos had.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
I was going to go in the same direction. I was leaning towards the candles as well, both for the lack of description, but also kind of what you guys were saying. I feel like the topic of the Christmas card was different in that time. Candles just don't seem to fit the bill.
Okay, I think we're all going to sink or swim together on this one because I'm going to join you guys. So we're all saying as our final answer that it was the candles on Christmas cards. So, Carrie, what is the correct? And by correct, we mean incorrect one.
The lie is the Dickens Christmas cards.
Oh,
wow. Oh, my goodness. So we have hit a hat trick. 3 fool-em-alls in one game.
Man.
I'm going to edit in a sound effect in post right at this moment. All right. Yeah, it's interesting. I did an episode last season about the history of the Christmas dinner that we eat. We always eat, turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, but, why? There's got to be some reason that we did that. And a big part of it was that, and it had to do with turkeys becoming more available and Victorian families getting larger because infant mortality rates were going down. But the way that you would get turkeys to market was you put them on a stagecoach, oftentimes, because the alternative was like you'd walk them there, and by the time they got to market, they'd be really thin from the walk. Or
good.
if you lived in the city, or if you lived in the country, I forget which one it was. If you lived in the country and wanted to send a turkey to the city or vice versa, you'd send it on a stagecoach. Because, back in the day, like the rails were just sort of getting up and running. And like that was how stagecoaches worked. They were like the bus lines of the day. They would just sort of like roll through and you could put something on it to deliver to friends and that kind of thing. So, yeah, stagecoaches and Christmas, that could be an episode one day because there's a rich history there.
Yeah.
But good for you, Carrie, for fooling us all.
Yes.
Well done.
All right, Chris, your last question.
Okay, so my last category is going to be Christmas directors, so people who have directed Christmas or Christmas-related movies. First statement is, despite the part of Kevin in Home Alone being written specifically for Macaulay Culkin, director Christopher Columbus still insisted on auditioning more than 100 kids for the role. Number 2. Writer-director Shane Black is known for setting many of his movies during the Christmas season, but he has gone on record to say that his actual favorite holiday is the 4th of July. And finally, John McTiernan directed the first Die Hard movie, but he did not return to direct the sequel, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which was also set on Christmas Eve.
Okay, now one thing, if Shane Black is who I think he is, he's not American, right?
I'm not sure offhand. I know a lot of his filmography, but I don't know his nationality.
He's in a lot of crime movies, isn't he?
Yeah, so Lethal Weapon, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3. Not exactly a crime movie, but...
I might be thinking of someone else. See, this is where I'm at a huge disadvantage because I just do not watch a lot of movies, even Christmas movies. Movies just kind of aren't my thing. So I'm really just like going to pretend I know what I'm talking about here. So, and I also wonder if Home Alone came out after, oh no, that was his first movie, right? I was thinking if he had already put out a movie, like oftentimes, that they would write a movie for a star, to like make some bank.
Oh, yeah.
But if that was his first movie, then maybe not.
No, John Hughes wrote it for Macaulay Culkin because of his role in Uncle Buck. Specifically the scene where he does like the 20 questions to John Candy's girlfriend through the mail slot in the door.
Okay, so we have it's the 100 auditions. Shane Black doesn't like Christmas as his favorite holiday, and what was the third one?
The third one was that John McTiernan directed the first Die Hard movie, but did not return to direct the sequel, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which was also set on Christmas Eve.
I see. All right. Yeah. I've never seen Die Hard, or Die Hard 2. Yeah. And I think I've seen Home Alone, like maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe like pieces of it. My goodness.
Boy.
I'm just going to wait to hear what you guys say, and then I'm probably just going to latch on to one of you.
I could see all those being correct. I mean, John Hughes did write that for Macaulay Culkin, but I could see them wanting to, have other kids come out and try out for the part just in case. Then I think I did hear something about Shane Black. He was asked why he set so many at Christmas, and he had a different reason other than him liking Christmas so much. And then I know the director of Die Hard changed the bad guys from terrorists to robbers because he doesn't like terrorists, and Die Hard 2 is more of a terrorist bad guy movie than anything, so that could have been why he didn't return. I don't know. I'm stumped. I'm going to lean towards Home Alone just because I knew John Hughes was so impressed with Macaulay Culkin on Uncle Buck that I don't see them going out and trying that many different kids out when they already had one in mind.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about the film industry to know, like, is 100 auditions standard? Like, is that a lot? Is that a little? It sounds like a lot.
It does sound like a lot.
I'm going to go with that one, just because I don't know what else to say.
Well, I seem to remember that there was a different director for the second Die Hard movie. So I'm going to guess that one's true.
All right, guys, I think it is perhaps the time for rumination has come to an end, and it's time to lock in our votes. I'm going to go with the Home Alone one. I think, Todd, you are too. Carrie, what do you say?
I'm going to go with it because Todd sounds like he has good movie knowledge about that.
Which means that if one of us is wrong, we're all wrong. So there is at least a 2 in 3 chance that Chris is going to fool us all again. So, Chris?
Yes.
Right.
Well, I hope you're not too upset, but I have fooled you all again.
Oh, man.
I'm going to need 2 sound effects.
The Shane Black statement was false. That was completely made up. I have no idea what his favorite holiday is. And Todd, you're all right. There is something there was one thing I found was that he has been on record like giving his reason for why he sets things at Christmas, but he hasn't really come out so forthright to say this is my favorite.
Right. Yeah.
So Carrie's least is 4th of July your least favorite holiday, Carrie, or you just don't like it in general?
I think it's tied with New Year's Eve just because of all the drunk people and the noise.
Right. Todd, what's your least favorite holiday?
My least favorite holiday is Valentine's Day.
Todd, man.
Well, I talked about it. I talked about it on my my podcast a few months back. It's just I'm just not ready to be done with Christmas at the time, and then you have all these red decorations, and plus two, when you go into the store the day after Christmas to get all them good deals, all the Valentine's candy and stuff's already out. You have no one ever talks about Valentine's Day creep or anything like that, and it's like so when you see it, Christmas is over. So it's kind of just got that it's just kind of got that that lucky place on the calendar that makes it my least favorite. It'd probably be whatever holiday fell in February.
I see.
So,
I mean, I'm not an enormous fan of Valentine's. I don't say it's my least favorite. Probably my least favorite is St. Patrick's Day. Because I'm from Boston, and for many years I lived in a neighborhood called Jamaica Plain, which is very close to South Boston, where the big St. Patrick's Day festival is. It's like really, really big.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is like, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, you drink. Which is like, I have Irish heritage, and like a lot of people in my family, I think like third generation Irish on one side. And it seems to be the one cultural stereotype that is still completely, totally okay for most people. To be like, those Irish, they sure do drink. Like it is I can't think of another example of that is completely 100% socially acceptable to make jokes about drunk Irish people.
That's funny.
Chris, what's your least favorite?
I'd have to say Halloween. It's something that I liked as I liked a lot as a kid, but as an adult, it just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, Halloween's a close number 2 for me. The only thing that gives Halloween the nudge is it means we're closer to Christmas. Once you get over that Halloween, once you get over that Halloween speed bump, that means it is full on Christmas after that. So.
But isn't it fun to take out your kids all dressed up in costume?
I'm sure once I have kids.
Not after 4 kids, it isn't. The first couple were fun, but then it kind of got to be a hassle after that.
Well, I think holidays have turned into a divisive topic. None of us agrees on what is the worst holiday. But at least we all agree on what's the best. That's what brought us all here today.
That's right.
Let us now close this game out with our final question, which has to do with Mrs. Claus. Okay. First statement. While Mrs. Claus does not have a commonly accepted first name, the first attempt to give her one is from a 1918 ad that ran in the Saturday Evening Post, in which Santa is shown as referring to her as Trixie. Number 2. A 1914 one-act comedic play entitled Mrs. Santa Claus Militant has Mrs. Santa Claus running rogue and stealing the sleigh while Santa sleeps because she got fed up with not getting any of the credit for the hard work that she does. Or is it number 3, a 2019 pop song called Mrs. Claus features, among other lyrics, who do you think it is keeping that man off the naughty list?
Well, I think Trixie sounds like a stripper name, so I think I'm going to have to go for that one being the lie.
Yeah.
Well, that was a common name back in those times. Wasn't Ralph Cramden's wife on The Honeymooners named Trixie?
No, was it?
Was it? I
don't know.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
But I just think it's always been kind of a flashy name. It's not like Millicent or something more innocent.
I like Millicent.
Well,
Trixie.
yeah, Millicent is good. But
Millie, Trixie.
Trixie sounds like could be one of the reindeer.
Yeah.
Or an elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't be talking during your deliberations or should I?
there he goes again. Or should I?
2019 song, Mrs. Claus. That must have been one that got away from me because I sure don't remember it.
A lot of plausible options. Hard to nail it down. The second one, the play, is one of the things that I want to be true but think is false. I would love for that to be true.
What year did you say that play was again, Brian?
1914.
That would be right around women's suffrage, wouldn't it? So,
suppose it would.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say whether it was in England or America or elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a typical American. I think the world revolves around the States. So, unless otherwise told, I just assume America. I'm going to go with the song because it's kind of like Chris said earlier. It's kind of like not like the others, and
You think that's the false one?
I think it's the false one because I listen to a lot of Christmas music, and I just don't remember coming across a song last year about Mrs. Claus.
Okay. Carrie, what's your final?
I think I'm still going to say Trixie.
Okay. Chris?
I'm going to, once again, spread the board here, and I'm going to stick with my gut, which is number 2, which is something I think is false, but will be more than happy to learn is true.
So that means that only one of you can possibly be correct, and that person is Carrie.
Oh.
So There is no such ad referring to Mrs. Claus as Trixie. There have been many attempts to give her a first name, including Lucy and a few others too, but there isn't a commonly accepted one. Which means that yes, there is a one-act play from 1914 called Mrs. Claus Militant, which also means that since it was produced in 1914, it is now in the public domain, so we are free to reenact it.
Nice.
As we please.
A future Christmas Past episode.
There you go.
I would love to do like one of those old time radio plays.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That would be fun.
I love that. All right, so I think we've just decided that we're all doing that.
Yes.
And the song Mrs. Claus, it really is a song by these two singers named Tiffany Alvord and Tiffany Houghton. It's a pop song. It sounds like the kind of pop song that would be on the radio. I'm always loath to criticize anyone who does creative work and puts their heart and soul into something and releases it. With that said, it's not the kind of song I would listen to, but I'll put a link in the show notes if anyone wants to check it out. Some people might like it.
I'll listen for sure.
And so what that means is at the end of the game, Todd is on the board with a respectable 2 points. Carrie ended up with 4 points total. Chris appears to be our big winner with 6 altogether, and I came in tied with Carrie for 4. So Chris, as a first-time player, I don't want to say we'll chalk it up to beginner's luck because you executed a lot of skill, but Chris, congratulations for being a winner for this edition of Christmas Past's Two Truths and a Lie. So I'd like to thank my guests here, Carrie Mercer from Christmas Book Review, Chris from Yuletide TV, Todd from Christmas Clatter. Thank you guys for playing, and I hope you'll join us again soon.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed that. Did you play along with us? If so, how did you do? I'd love to know. You can drop me a line anytime at christmaspastpodcast@gmail.com or reach out on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you haven't yet joined the private Christmas Past Facebook group, now's as good a time as any because we celebrate all year round. I'll be back again before you know it, and until then, let me remind you as always, and for the very last time, that Christmas Past is produced in sunny San Mateo, California by yours truly, Brian Earl. If you're enjoying these episodes, maybe there are other people in your life who could also use a dose of Christmas spirit, so why not help more people discover the show? It's as simple as telling a friend about it or leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. These are quick and painless ways to show your support, and they really do make a big difference. If you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, I'll even send you a Christmas Past sticker and a handwritten Christmas card as my way of saying thanks. Message me for details about that. Until next time, when I publish my first episode from the all-new Christmas Past headquarters, stay safe and healthy, look out for one another, and may your days be merry and bright.